Okay, hello, welcome to Frankfurt Music Messe 2009 and the Roland stand. My name's Luke Edwards, I'm from the UK, and I'm going to just take you through very briefly the ARX03 expansion board. This is our new expansion board using our supernatural technology from Roland. So this expansion board is concentrating on brass sounds, brass sections, so brass sounds but also saxes as well. So solo sounds and combinations of sounds as well. Really cool. Also on board we've got some effects, and the effects are actually housed on the board themselves. So the boards are very powerful because they have their own processor, their own effects. Everything is handled by the board, so it's not taking any of the processing power from the Phantom to do it. But of course they integrate perfectly with the Phantom G because of the graphical user interface. This is a solo flugelhorns. If I play legato, the notes really join together, and that's really useful for when you're doing things like trills and other articulations. Now you've got your other controllers, of course, which we'll get onto in a moment, but you've got a lot of control over these sounds. So if I press player, you've got control over the stability of the sound, the personality, so you can slightly detune it so it's not completely perfectly in tune all the time to give it a bit of character. You can change the breath controls as well, so how much breath noise there is. So you can have a lot of breath sound, or you can roll that off. And of course each player in the section has its own EQ settings as well, so you have complete control there. Added to that you've got of course your articulations, which you can use with your controllers. So again, using the same sound. First of all, modulation gives you vibrato. But the pitch bend works in a slightly different way on a solo sound, in that it'll give you breath noise. So if you want to introduce the sound very slowly, as if the player was using his embouchure just to ease himself into the note, you can do that. So you can hear just the breath and then gradually introducing the note. The S1 switch enables me to do staccato articulations. So you get that real punch and attack to the sound. S2 is a fall. So you get that kind of effect. And the D-beam here gives me what's called a do-it, and that's basically the opposite of a fall. So instead of the note falling off, it actually rises up. So that's a few of the solo features, but of course you can put up to 6 instruments in a section, and they're very easily seen here. So of course you can use the faders here on my left to control the level, to get the balance of the section right, but it's very intelligent the way it actually plays the sound. So if you just play a monophonic melody, everything will play in unison like this. So everything's in unison. But as soon as I start playing more than one note, it automatically voices it for you. So it'll intelligently voice the ensemble. So if I play in unison, everything is, all the red lights mean it's all in unison. As soon as I play a chord, then you see it's telling me which instrument is playing which note, basically. The section, I can actually specify the way these sounds are introduced. I'm in unison mode at the moment, but I can flick that down and go into stack mode, which means you can then control the order which the instrument's coming in if you're playing successive notes. So if I play my first note, it's going to give me a baritone sax, and then it'll gradually add the other instruments. So very intelligent, and these numbers here, they're which order the instruments are coming in. So I can change those. So if I want to have a different kind of effect, if I want it to have the opposite effect, so if I want the treble instruments to come in first and then the bass sounds, I can do that, for instance. It's called a pop section, this one. This is a combination of some trumpets, trombone and some saxophones. This time I wanted to show you this because when you use your controllers it reacts in a different way. It's very good for doing sforzando or crescendo and diminuendo effects on the modulation wheel. Whereas with a normal brass instrument on a keyboard, if you had that kind of effect, it would just be a sample, so you get the attack and then it would gradually increase at the rate that it was sampled at. The great thing here is I can control, so I can do a very slow crescendo, just as if you had a real brass section there, and you can control it the way you want. The other good thing when I'm using the pitch bend with this particular sound is you can roll off or bend up, but not just like a glide like a normal keyboard. It actually chromatically will bend down the keys, so as if a sax player or trumpet player was keying down like this, or up. So you can do your own falls and make them sound really realistic, but again at any rate you specify, so you can have a really slow fall or a fast one. The same thing up. So again, all of these things combined make for very satisfying programming. So some strings maybe some choir. Or I could use it in a different way. I could say, okay, I want to split the keyboard. So this particular sound is a layer of a trombone and a muted trumpet. I'm going to turn off the effect just so you can hear it without the effect first. I'm going to turn on this auto wah effect now to show you some of the different effects that you can get using the onboard effects to create kind of a funky vibe. So you have different types of EQ. If I go into my mixer, I've got a section up now, so you can see that every part has its own EQ setting, which you can change, but you also have a global EQ as well. So if you very quickly want to tweak your whole brass section to fit in your mix, you can do it via the master EQ, and it's conveniently located on these two control knobs here. So for instance, this section here, I can change the gain, so I can roll the low right off, or I can have a much fuller sound if I want. So it makes it very easy to kind of shape this brass section to fit in your mix, whatever you're doing. So now we can add in some brass.